Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fifth and annual Elara Global Conference 2015. I am Ashish Kumar. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to our first panel discussion of the day. This year we have themed our conference on the billion aspirations that led to the political coup in New Delhi last year. The electorate voted a majority government for the first time in 3 decades. Unlike the last time in 1984 when it happened, there is no sympathy vote this time around. So this was a change that the society had demanded after breaking many myths associated with the traditional electoral system in India. It would be a mistake thus to view this event in isolation. Many episodes have come together to help bring about this turnaround, and the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or the RSS as we better know it, is one of them. The panel today will discuss the idea of RSS. I look forward to many questions from the audience here. The fact that RSS has chosen to come out and share its thought is reassurance of the fact that there is an acknowledgement of the need to spread the vision to a larger audience. On the panel today, we have the Sampark Pramukh, that is the public relations, if I am correct, of the RSS, Sri Anuruddha-ji Deshpande. With him sharing the dais is a veteran RSS functionary and author of the much acclaimed book, Secrets of RSS, Demystifying the Sangh, Sri Ratan Chadha. I'll just spend a couple of minutes to give a bio of both of them. So, Sri Anuruddha-ji Deshpande is the Akhil Bharatiya Sampark Pramukh of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He has more than 5 decades of association with the RSS and has been actively associated with the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, ABVP, the student wing of the RSS. He is the president of the Rambhav Malgi Prabodhini and the national secretary of the Swami Vivekanand Sharda Shati Samaroh Shamiti. A gold medalist at postgraduate examination, he was professor of commerce and economics and has teaching experience of around 4 decades. He was a principal of Brihan Maharashtra College of Commerce, Pune. He is currently a member of Executive Council of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council as well as member of the peer teams of NAC to assess college and university departments. He has authored books on management, banking and finance and marketing management and has written research publications on economic thought of Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade and economic thought of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. He was part of the delegation for the 5th Ministerial Conference of the WTO, World Trade Organization, held in Mexico last year. Sri Ratan Chadha is the author of much acclaimed book, Secrets of RSS, Demystifying the Sangh. He has also authored a biography of Professor Rajendra Singh, the third Sarsangchalak, if I'm fourth Sarsangchalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He was also better known as Raju Bhaiya. He has translated Guruji, Vision and Mission and Biography of Guruji by Sri Hari Ranga, both from Hindi to English, and Being Different by Rajiv Malhotra, English to Hindi. He is a senior functionary of RSS in Mumbai and was media in charge in the Mumbai committee. He is the founder general secretary of Vishwa Adhyayan Kendra, the Center for International Studies in Mumbai. He has a master's degree in economics and political science from Bombay University and a diploma in man-made textile chemistry. He is enrolled for a doctoral thesis on RSS with focus on its work in Northeast India from Hindu University of America in Florida in the States. Professionally, he is an ERP consultant. He writes blog. He's at a rather interesting blog called secretsofrss.blogspot.in. We'll now play a very short film on the RSS. After the video, Sri Ratan Chadha will talk about the Sangh and why he chose to write the book. And he'll give details of what he's written more in the book itself. Sri Anuruddha-ji Deshpande will give the keynote address before we open up for the Q&A. So we'll start with the video now.
Dr. Keshav Baliram Hedgevar, the founder of the RSS, popularly known as Dr. G, was a medical doctor. He was a freedom fighter and a public-spirited leader. He worked closely with the leaders of the revolutionary movement as well as the Congress movement for India's independence. Determined to end the disunity and social evils engulfing Hindu society, he resolved to dedicate his life towards bringing about absolute social harmony. He had a vision of creating a movement committed to securing independence and building a self-confident Bharat, capable of engaging with the world on terms of equality. And thus was born the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or the RSS, on the Vijayadashmi Day in 1925 at Nagpur in central India, with the stated objective of Param Vaibhav.
ध्वजा प्रणाम, 1, 2, 3। नमस्ते सदा वत्सले मातृभूमे, नमस्ते सदा वत्सले मातृभूमे, वया हिंदू भूमे सुखं वर्धितोहम, वया हिंदू भूमे। उसके जैसा दूसरा नहीं है। गगनम गगनाकारम, आसमान आसमान जैसा है। सागरम सागरोपमा, समुद्र समुद्र जैसा है। राम रावण योर युद्धम राम रावण योरिव, राम रावण का जैसा युद्ध हुआ था उसके जैसा वही है, दूसरा नहीं। ऐसे यह संघ का काम है, ये एकदम अनोखा काम है, इसके जैसा यही है। और वैसे संघ को भी देखना है, संघ के अंदर आकर उसका अनुभव करना है।
भारत के आधार पर विजन है, कैसा बनाएंगे, दुनिया का सबसे श्रेष्ठ देश भी होगा, चरित्रवान होगा, प्रॉस्परस भी होगा, और विश्व को इस झगड़े वाले संघर्ष वाले रास्ते से हटाकर समन्वय के, प्रेम के, आपस में मिलकर चलने के, भाईचारे के इस मार्ग पर चला सकेगा।
Through its daily activity called the Shakha, the RSS has created a vast cadre of millions of disciplined young men committed to serving the country and humanity in countless ways, in the true Hindu tradition of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the world as one family. Unity, discipline, patriotism, reverence to our ancient culture, service to mankind, and spirit of collective consciousness are the virtues that the Shakha training is designed to impart to the Swayamsevaks, a term used to describe the volunteers of the RSS. It grew from strength to strength under the leadership of Shri M.S. Golwalkar, Guruji, Shri Balasaheb Deoras, Professor Rajendra Singh, by Shri K.S. Sudarshan.
The RSS wanted to inculcate this spirit of oneness of the country. This country is one, this culture is one, the people are one. So in order to inculcate this idea and an all India perspective, as also a dedication to the country and discipline. These are the basic traits that are needed for the renaissance of the country. RSS was started with this very purpose, to unite the Hindu society.
The Swayamsevaks have entered all walks of social life and created a large family of organizations. It is these organizations, euphemistically called the Sangh Parivar by many, that are responsible for bringing Hindutva to the center stage of Indian national life.
आज बहुत बड़ी संख्या में हिंदू समाज की सर्वांगीण उन्नति करने के लिए अनेक विविध प्रकार के यहाँ संगठन बनाए हैं। आज तो कोई क्षेत्र इस प्रकार का नहीं बचा है जहां संघ के स्वयंसेवक और सेवा के कार्यों में राष्ट्र की सर्वांगीण उन्नति के काम में न लगे हों।
कुछ कंट्रोल कहना या उनसे हम चलाते हैं, ये हमारा विंग है, ये सब कल्पनाएं गलत है। परिवार का विचार होगा परिवार।
One nation, one people, one culture became the central theme through which blossomed many a statesman. In essence, Hindutva or cultural nationalism is the cornerstone of the RSS thought. Hindutva is a defining feature of Indian society. This implies an appreciation of the roots of Indian identity by its people, irrespective of religion. The RSS believes that the core unifying factor of Bharat is its ancient Hindu culture. This cultural oneness overrides socio-religious diversity of this country. Thus, to the RSS mind, every citizen is a Hindu, irrespective of his religion, caste or creed, as he inherits the same culture of this land. The RSS considers this nation as one and rejects the idea of dividing it on religious lines as minority and majority. It believes that the so-called minority, a Jew, a Parsi, a Muslim and a Christian too, is an equal inheritor of our heritage, as is a Sikh, a Jain, a Buddhist and an atheist.
We believe that India is a Hindu nation. And whenever say it is a Hindu nation, we take the word Hindu to have a nationalist connotation. Because Hindu does not mean one particular way of worship. Some believe in God, some do not believe in God also. All of them have got a place in the Hindu society, in this nation, Hindu nation.
Muslims of Bharat, Christians of Bharat and so-called Hindus of Bharat, all are inheritors of that particular culture.
The RSS has contributed enormously to the eradication of various social evils that engulf Hindu society, like untouchability, casteism and dowry. With the message of cultural unity of the entire nation, the RSS cadres have fanned across the length and breadth of the country in their efforts to free Hindu society of these social evils. A landmark event in this direction was the Vishwa Hindu Parishad conclave in 1969 at Udupi in Karnataka, in which Hindu religious leaders had unanimously declared that there is no place for untouchability and caste discrimination in Hinduism.
Dr. Hedgewar's ideas have been carried forward by successive generations of RSS leaders. The second Sarsanchalak, Sri Madhav Sadashiv Golwalkar, addressed as Guruji, continued to bring social transformation within Hindu society. A step in this direction was establishing the Vishwa Hindu Parishad in 1964 and bringing Shankaracharya's sons and mahants under one umbrella.
The words of the third Sarsanchalak, Sri Balasaheb Deras, if untouchability is not a sin, nothing in the world is a sin, this must be thrown out, lock, stock and barrel, guide the Swayamsevaks as they pursue the goal of social integration through words and deeds.
We feel that caste has no relevance and therefore it must go.
Their efforts have earned them the accolades of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and many others. The RSS has created an atmosphere of social concern which generated a politics of responsibility and accountability where the very people themselves are an ombudsman. This has resulted in a rare show of faith in the democratic process and engineered a tectonic shift in Indian politics when the RSS spearheaded the movement against the draconian emergency in 1975-77 and led to its trashing at the hustings. From an RSS-backed government in 1977 to an RSS volunteer as Prime Minister in 1996, the voter has primed to the waxing influence of the RSS ideology.
The idea of India, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम,
हम साथ चले, मिलके चले, मिलके सोचे, मिलके संकल्प करें और मिलकर के हम देश को आगे बढ़ाएं.
The RSS is committed to working for global peace based on the belief that all men are created equal and belong to the same family. It believes in the age-old Hindu dictum that all religions are valid paths to the same God and hence deserve respect. It is thus opposed to any form of religious intolerance that rejects the pluralist soul of Hindu culture. The RSS represents the forces of unity, peace and self-respect, as opposed to the forces of disruption, violence and self-delusion. For those inclined to indigenousness, tradition-based and community-inspired structures, the RSS is the real option, the pole to which the Indian society is naturally gravitating today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Normally it's a lunch time, so I think with hunger in stomach you will not sleep. After such a good presentation, in fact I'm surprised. I have been in RSS for long years. The first time I have seen a good presentation. So I'm relieved, I'm happy. We are also discussing whether there is a need for any presentation now, since it is a very comprehensive presentation. But since you have been called, we'd rather use that little time that is given to us before the question answer. How do you move? How do you move it ahead? Yeah. So I'll skip it all. Basically, it's all already there. Number of people who go to Shakha regularly, people who work with RSS. So this you already saw in the documentary. And the figures I have given here are the latest figures which have been presented in 2015. Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, basically the annual meeting of delegates of RSS from across India. Next. You saw some of the organizations, you saw their activity. Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh is number one in labor unions. Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad is number one in ABVP. Basically all the organizations which work in various parts are number one in the no work. Sanskrit Bharati is a very low, organization which not many know about, but now this talk of reviving Sanskrit, making it a kind of language which people don't find very Greek and they can actually, so to say, actually converse in that and learn the old scriptures which are in Sanskrit. And so if you calculate all these people who have been associated with Sangha, about 10 million people would be directly associated with the work done by RSS. Next. These are some of the other organizations, you must have heard about them. With Vivekananda Rock Memorial was a memorable work done at the time when this memorial came up. There was a lot of opposition, and key of this success of this particular movement was 1 rupee from every participant. So we just took 1 rupee from a person, and with this we collected 1 crore, and with the help of that basic funding and some more from the state governments, we knew this was built up. Eknath Ranade ji was the man behind it. Saraswati Shishu Mandir, Kushti Nivarak Sangh is in this field since 1948. It's not a new organization, very old at the time of Guruji. And you have seen some of these organizations already, so I'll skip that. Itihas Sankalan Samiti is the organization which actually started this debate or the discussion about Indus civilization vis-a-vis what is Saraswati River. So this research, scientific research, which went on to bring in the basic philosophy whether Aryan invasion theory is wrong or right, was a result of this work done by Itihas Sankalan Samiti. A lot of founding work was done there. And interestingly, all the organizations you see, none of them takes any government help. All these are run by people's own funds or funds taken from local Indian people. You have seen the RSS work already, but if you look at it, basically from these playgrounds, you find where we basically try to get high emotional quotient people who work in the various fields. So with these people, when you go on the disaster or go to any place, I have seen people climbing, connecting saris and climbing up 5 floors to, to rescue people in Gujarat earthquake. I've seen people carrying dead bodies, dried up bodies, which you won't even touch. And surprisingly, one young guy told me, पिछली बार ऐसा हुआ था, तो गीली body थी, hot, swollen body, it was difficult. Now this time on earthquake, they're dried, so very easy to carry. And they started taking photographs, because earlier nobody ever took cognizance of taking photographs, discussing what they do. And all the reports you see of 1 lakh people coming together, 60,000 people coming together for a camp, these are all organized by local RSS people. There is no expert, there is no expert committee, no consultant. And these people locally trained in Shakha culture, they are able to run these huge camps without any single mishap, without anybody, so that's why there is no news, because there is no disaster in RSS camps. If there is something, of course, all newspapers will definitely, talk about it. These are some of the list of major disasters and major activities which were, in which RSS was active. The first one, not many people know, that the airport in 47, when there was Pak attack, the airport was made ready for the Air Force to come down with the forces by RSS volunteers in Srinagar at that time. Young people from 12 years to 20 years were there, many died, and military paid its tribute, but it is not covered in history because it's done by RSS. And of course, you have seen this in film, I'll skip it. Organizationally, it's a very federal structure, right from local Shakha. You have a village committee, you have district committee, state committee, then in the central committee. And the top office bearers are elected, which is not known by many people. In fact, there was a debate in TV where people said, where is your constitution? How do you select people? So actually the key people are elected by the delegates who attended, for example, this year's Nagpur meeting. And the highest person in the organization, General Secretary, who is this time Bhaiyaji Joshi, is also elected. In fact, there is news report, somebody else will replace him, you'll find that RSS is not very easy. So he came back as a General Secretary. And all the decisions are through consensus. If something is not agreed upon, that is deferred. Because of this, surprisingly, 90 years of RSS, not a single split has taken place. Nobody has left organization. People work together. If there is a discussion which doesn't result in a consensus decision, that is postponed till people come on board. That is how, although it takes decisions slowly, all of these are carried by the people. You have already seen Dr. Hedgewa's activities. And he was in jail twice in the freedom struggle, and he was with Congress for long years. He was part of the organizing committee of Congress session which took place in Nagpur at that time. And the activities which happened during the Khilafat Andolan and later on which resulted in Mopla program, in which thousands of people are killed and still Nehru and Gandhi couldn't take a stand, that is what changed his mind, and he realized that Hindus have to come together. They are their own weakness. Unless they come together, there is all their weakness, their problems. A country will still have a new government, but no new system in place. You have already heard most of them. I'll just come to key issues. Shri Golwalkar has himself accepted. He read nearly 29,000 books in Banaras University, where he was teacher at that time. And he had a photographic memory. He remembered all the books. Intellectual, very high caliber, but he never showed it off. In fact, he used to say, you can win an intellectual argument, but you can't win somebody's heart. So treat everybody with love, and they will ultimately come to you. You heard Balasaheb Devara's speech. He went into social reform in a big way when he took over, and he took it to social expansion and Samaj Seva, as we call it. Raju Bhaiya was a scientist that India never had. He was a nuclear scientist, one of the most popular teachers. When he used to walk down Allahabad, people would touch his feet on the road crossings, on the station. He had a fantastic memory. First, C.V. Raman tried to bring him in as a researcher. He said, no, I'm working with RSS. Then Dr. Bhabha tried to bring him in. He still refused, very politely, and went to working with Sangha. Sudarshanji was key in starting the Rashtriya Muslim Manch, on which you hear sometimes now. And you have heard Dr. Bhagwat enough, whether you like it or not, either way. I mean, he speaks very precisely. And this is an example of simplicity. This is the national conference of RSS of this year, and this is how it's conducted. Normal, simple hall, normal dormitories, normal life, very simple living. So these are the people who actually guide the whole RSS movement. Well, this is the book I have written. Basically, people ask me, what made you write the book? You know, I was a young member of RSS during emergency. I also went to jail. And right from Nehru's time, there is a sustained campaign to malign RSS, which began even before Gandhi was murdered, because he was afraid of the popularity which RSS had at that time because of the work it did for partition, protecting Hindus, rehabilitating them. So he somehow wanted to find an excuse to crush RSS. So 2 days before Gandhi's murder, he had said, I'll crush RSS whatever may come. And so he found an excuse, then there is a whole history behind this. In fact, the book carries an annexure where I have reproduced official records of what happened before Gandhi's murder and after Gandhi's murder and removal of the ban. It is part of the annexure. Then I also saw that Sangh, because of shying away from publicity, would not get into argument with the people, because Guruji had said, don't get into arguments. Show people what you do and people will slowly convert, but it didn't happen. So I found it very irritating that why we don't, engage people in debates or discussions. Dr. Elara said that, don't need any publicity when you do good work. In fact, there is an anecdotal story which I have read that Guruji was asked to release a book after the partition about work done by Swayamsevaks after partition in Ambala. He refused to release it. He asked the guy, would you did you, do seva to your mother? He said, yes. He said, it didn't come in the newspaper today. He says, what do you mean? He said, see, our people work for the motherland. They work for the society. Why do you need publicity? So I will not release the book. This obsession of keeping away from the publicity has resulted in our people keeping away from media. That was my analysis, and I said, okay, let me break that. And communication of RSS typically is very Sanskritized. It is a language which is not at par with what generally the new media or the left-dominated culture speaks in the public debates. So the language that RSS used and the language that communists used was on a different platform. So there was no communication. It was a big gap between what people generally talked about and what people understood. I experienced it during my college days when I had communist friends with whom I used to get into debate. I realized that my terminology didn't mix up. So I realized that I need to write something which is in the common parlance, common language that people understand. And so unless you let people know what RSS does, people will keep on understanding. People will take their own view. Like famous anchor says, nation wants to know. So I said, okay, let nation know. So I went down to write the book. My children used to tell me that, they always used to complain to me. People keep on, complaining about RSS. Why don't you write something where people will understand? And there was an incident when Dr. Bhagwat was made Sarsang Chalak. There's a piece in Times of India saying that there is a veil of secrecy around RSS, and it is never known who will become the chief. Now finally the veil of secrecy is off, Dr. Bhagwat is the chief. That made me write an article. What is secret about RSS? That slowly built up into a book. So the book that I wrote basically had this whole, agitation in my mind starting from 75 onwards, that something has to be told. So the book has 3 parts: the body, which talks about organization of RSS, how the organization works, how Shakha works and all those things, how a normal person nobody, like we say, making an extraordinary man out of an ordinary man. You find people who are so simple looking, who hardly argue, who have no intellectual, caliber of what generally we look at, but they have done wonderful work. There is an old man who recently died in Villaparle, Mumbai, who had done more than thousands of last rites. All he used to do, anybody died, he would go there. And he would complete the rituals because people don't know rituals. And there was no publicity, nothing, just went on and on like this. First he did it was 16-year-old, his father beat him up. Because in Hindus, if your father is alive, you're not supposed to go for last rites. But he went on doing it. So such examples are there. Then the spirit which talks of the philosophy of RSS, in a different way, not the way generally we speak about in RSS, but in a way that we have debates in the international fora. What is RSS? What is the cultural, difference between the Hindu thought and the non-Hindu thought? All these are discussed in this particular part. I have quoted a lot of scholars on this. And the manifesto is basically the work done by people from RSS on the field, like you saw the Seva work you saw there. You saw many other activities on the field, how this training that you get in RSS, how that gets converted into manifestation of work in various, lakhs of seva work or various organizations. One person goes, creates a whole organization around him, then he hands it over to the RSS. So this typical work that is done, right from defense of the nation to disasters to social harmony, those examples are there. So all this together has brought up this book. And attempt is to answer all the questions, all the allegations thrown at RSS, whether RSS is fascist, whether RSS is communal, all those, or whether RSS is anti-women. All these questions are taken headlong, and I tried to answer them my own way. This is not an official work on RSS. Nobody from RSS has supported me in this. Nobody has recommended it, but it has been distributed widely by people who want to tell something about RSS. It is my view, which may be different from Dr. Anirudh Deshpande's views, but I would hope that you would read the book and make your own decision on it. And I have tried to be impartial. Where there is critique, I have also criticized RSS work as you go through it. Now the questions, the doubt that we have, which I will not answer, which Dr. Anirudh Deshpande will answer, some of them have been answered in the presentation you just saw. People will ask, is Hindu an exclusivist word? So when you say Hindu, why does it go against you? What is Hindutva? What is our understanding of nationhood? And what have you done for social reforms in Hindu society? Whether RSS is orthodox, whether it's revisionist, these are words thrown at us. Whether it's paramilitary organization, how does RSS look at globalization or the economic thought? And is it fascist? Is it anti-modern? Is it anti-democratic? These are the things that we generally believe. I have heard critics talk about it. And whether it can be compared with Islamist or fundamentalist thoughts that we see in the world today, how it is different being a Hindu organization and extremist Abrahamic organization, what is the difference? And the pluralism built into Hindu culture, which we don't wish to see easily. And what has been the RSS contribution in creating all this huge network of social work? This, I believe, are the questions that we people have in mind, on which Dr. Deshpande will give a small talk, and then it is open for question answer. As Walter Anderson said, RSS is very difficult to understand and very easy to misunderstand. So what is it? RSS is the elephant in the room. So I'll ask Dr. Deshpande to take over. Thank you very much.
Respected dignitaries in the audience, office bearers of Elara capital, and friends. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards the organizers of this discussion session. Almost all the points have been covered in the e-presentation and the presentation by Ratanji Sharda. Walter Anderson has said, which will be shown here also, that it's very easy to misunderstand RSS, but very difficult to understand RSS. There are several questions raised quite frequently about RSS. One thing is very clear and accepted by all, that this is the largest non-governmental organization of the world. I'm not talking it in terms of the statistics and the figures only. Figures speak because we know that the number of volunteers of RSS and the service projects being run by RSS, they're really covering a very large part of our nation, so far as the service sector is concerned. So in that way, it is a largest organization. But I would like to dwell on the philosophical part of RSS, that what is the philosophy of RSS, what RSS wants to do. There are some terms which RSS has used, and the clarity which RSS has could not reach the sections of our society, and there are some doubts also. RSS believes that the word Hindu is having a cultural connotation. It is not related to religion, it's not related to a section of our society. When Dr. Hedgewar founded RSS in 1925, we know that he was before the foundation of RSS. He was involved in revolutionary activities at Calcutta. When he came back from Calcutta to Nagpur, he took part in the freedom movement, imprisoned twice. He was a very active member of National Congress. RSS is known, but the founder of RSS is not known to the people. Sometimes they are not able even to pronounce the name of Dr. Hedgewar. Some of them do it as Hegdewar, some of them do it as something different. That doesn't matter much. But the philosophy of founding RSS was a very simple thing, that after obtaining our independence, what will be the nature of the social activities of our country. Lokmanya Tilak used to say that Swaraj is required to be converted into Suraj. So Dr. Hedgewar had put a theory that if we want to convert Swaraj into Suraj after gaining our independence, what would be the base, a common base, for our people to unite? And the philosophy is there that it would be the culture, and on the basis of the culture we can unite our country, we can unite our people belonging to different sects, different castes, different creeds. Hindu is a word where all can come together. The culture of our country is known as Hindu culture. Dr. Hedgewar used to say that when Rajaram Mohan Rai had started his activities, the age that we call it as the age of Renaissance, they had Hindu society only before them. Because all the misdeeds and all the things were related to Hindu society only. So whenever we think of social harmony, we have to think about Hindu society. Whenever we think of bringing people together, we have to think about the Hindu culture. And so let me make it very clear in the question and answers. If any question is raised, I would further explain it. But Hindu, RSS does not suppose as a sect. Hindu for RSS is not a religion. Hindu for RSS is not a name of a group of our citizens. It's a culture. We have our culture, and for thousands of years, it has been recognized as Hindu culture. I would not spend more time on explaining it, but this is the basic philosophy of RSS, what is meant by Hindu. The next thing is there that the concept of our nation, Rashtra, is certainly different from the Western philosophy. Our Rashtra, nation, is we the people. And so the people of our country is our nation. To serve our motherland is to serve our people. And when we say that to serve our people is the motto of RSS, that does not mean to serve only people having Hindu origin in our routine way of thinking. The third thing is there that when we say Hindu Rashtra, it's not a Rashtra or a nation of Hindus only, which we call in our regular terms. It is a cultural entity. And the cultural entity only can bring people together. It's not a nation in the making, it's an ancient nation. At least we have a known history of 5,000 years of our nation, of our motherland. So we won't agree with this concept that it's a nation in the making. It's okay that our nation could not have a very strong entity in the past. Mughals ruled our country for almost 800 years. Britishers ruled our country for more than 125 years. What is the reason behind it? Dr. Hedgewar was very keen on finding out a solution to this. And he said the basic reason that we were not organized. There was no unity. There was no sense of national consciousness. And so the first and the foremost need to convert our Swaraj into Suraj is to have a very strong organization of people with a common motto, with a dedication, sense of dedication. And so he said that patriotism, discipline, character is required everywhere in a group of persons and person as such also. So what is the way out? Political power is not a solution to that. Political power may be a part of it, but it cannot be the ultimate thing to get all these things good. And so there has to be an organization. The basic philosophy is that organized nation can face all the problems that may come before the nation. So RSS believes in organizing people. RSS is a cadre-based organization with mass following. It is based on cadre. And so people may not find that it's a mass organization, though the numbers are very big compared to the numbers of other organizations, but there is no sense of competition. It's an organization. It is not an institution. I believe you can distinguish between organization and institution. We will not find that there is a particular membership for being a Swayamsevak of RSS. People come there, take part in all the activities, and so it is an organization which believes in Hindu philosophy. This Hindu philosophy, when it is said in the RSS, all the literature and everywhere, it is not opposed to any other religion. Ratan Sharda posed a series of questions. One of the questions was related to the approach towards other religions. RSS does not have any objection to the mode of worship of the people. RSS does not translate religion into dharma. Dharma is different and religion is different. Religion is a way of worship. Everyone is free to practice its way of worship. Worship way may be different. In Hindu philosophy, we have not only tolerated, as Swami Vivekananda said in the Chicago address, that it's not a question of tolerance only. It's a question of accepting all. And he had given the example of Parsis that stayed in our country quite happily. So it's not only a tolerance, it is acceptance also. Hindu philosophy is accepting all. And this acceptance is acceptable to in the philosophy of Hindu Rashtra, Hindutva. And therefore, this must be made clear everywhere. We who are the advocates of this and representatives of RSS repeatedly say so. And the practice is also on the similar lines. The next question arises about what is the approach of RSS towards women, because it's a men's organization. There are two things I would request you to consider. Number one is that RSS working is a shakha working, a branch working. It's a day-to-day activity. Our founder, Dr. Hedgewar, believed that patriotism is not occasional. Patriotism is not only when there is a war on the front. Patriotism is not only when some natural calamities take place. Patriotism is a very consistent activity, ongoing activity, and so people should come together, think of nation, and do something. And so it is a selfless service RSS provides to the society. With this philosophy, the progressive unfoldment took place in respect of RSS. It went on increasing, and now we find that more than 55,000 places we have active working of RSS. Every day, more than 10, 15, 20, sometimes more than that, people come together. And it's a 1 hour playground activity for children, for youth, even for adults. There a particular mode of working is set, and that is not a closed activity. It's very open activity, accessible to all, welcoming all. And so the crux of the working of RSS is Shakha. You have seen the working of the Shakha here in a pictorial form, and it is held at all the places here. What about the relationship between a political party and RSS? RSS is a socio-cultural organization. RSS is not at all a political organization. RSS never fights the elections. RSS never says people that elect this party only. Never. RSS has said that there should be 100% voting, because that is the only most powerful right a common citizen has in his hands. And therefore, increasing the voting percentage, it is a civil duty. Our Sarsanga Chalak, Manya Mohanji Bhagwat, last time, that means before this election, on the verge of these elections, appealed all people to vote. There should be Shata Pratishat voting, 100% voting. Why? Because people must know about the right that they have to change the scenario. The biggest and the most powerful weapon that our citizens have in their hands, that was the appeal. And so RSS is not a political organization, but RSS can create an atmosphere among people to make them alert about whom to be elected, who are the people, what is their manifesto. So this thing is always done in RSS, and so this must be taken into account when we want to understand RSS. What are the economic policies RSS? RSS does not say that we have a blueprint for the economic improvement. That is the work of the intellectual people like you, who are in the financial sector, who are working in the economic sector. They can develop it. But there are some simple things that RSS has laid down about the economic policy. We believe in decentralized economy. We believe in the 100% employment to people, because it is people who can decide the wealth of the nation and say about the progress of the nation. So there should be the decentralization. When we say about Swadeshi economy, that is not snapping ties with the globalization process, but our own industry should get the preference. And so whatever is economic policies of a political party, we naturally are supportive to that. In the economic policies only, investments are naturally encouraged, because unless the investments come, the industries would not prosper. Industries do not prosper, employment will not increase. So that is a very simple thing. Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, when he put the theory of integral humanism, has given 3 very simple principles to it. And I would like to quote in his own terms, Har haath ko kaam, every hand should get to work. Har khet ko pani, every land should get water where the cultivation is there. And har pet ko bhojan, every person should get good meals, 4 square meals every day. These are the 3 simple things. If these 3 simple things are not followed by the government, who is responsible to provide it to the people, then people have their right to change it. And therefore, all economic policies of our country should center around this policy. A very popular term which was in fact introduced by Deen Dayal Upadhyay only, and that is Antyodaya. A person standing last in the row must get all what he wants to get. And so the economic policy is naturally about Antyodaya. Our agriculture, we are basically people depending on agriculture. More than 60% of the population depends on it. But we find that our agriculture contribution to GDP is day by day reducing. It is necessary to take care of it. So these are some broad policies about the economics of our country. And in the integral humanism, it is stated by Deen Dayal Upadhyay. RSS is a social organization. You have seen the social projects. The work is going on very silently. Many times we are asked that why don't you come before to the media and publicize it and give. That is not the way of working of RSS. Silently the work is going on. More than 60,000 Ekal Vidyalayas are there. The meaning of Ekal Vidyalaya is single teacher school. Otherwise those children would not have seen even the doors of the school. This is one teacher school in the remotest area of our country. Maybe in the northeast, maybe in other tribal areas, but 60,000 Ekal Vidyalayas are going on. Vidya Bharati is trying to keep a model of good education before us. They have got more than 30,000 schools in our country. So take any walk of social life, you will find that the work is going on in a very constructive way to serve our motherland. The basic philosophy is that we want to serve our motherland. It's a selfless service. And so this biggest organization of the world has served the motherland. There are some, what I would say, the landmarks in this history of 90 years. I am well aware that people have been talking about the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. And very, very unfortunately, RSS was involved in it. After that, so many commissions were set by the government. Every commission, every court case has given unequivocally the verdict that RSS doesn't have anything to do with the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. There were some letters written by our Sarsanga Chalak Pujanya Golwalkar Guruji to Mahatma Gandhi. And if those letters are publicized, then we can understand what was the relationship between Sangha and RSS. Mahatma Gandhi visited Sangha Shakha twice. And when he asked all the Swayamsevaks, volunteers of RSS, about their caste, he said that about the untouchability, what I am aspiring to do, RSS is doing it in practice. Same was the case of Dr. Ambedkar. In emergency, which is one more landmark, RSS was banned. To set up the democratic values again, RSS took active part in all the satyagrahas. It was, I would consider it as the second freedom movement. And in that second freedom movement, thousands and thousands of workers of RSS took part in it, and emergency was a very big challenge in our country. After that, what happened in the political scenario, you know it. So the social projects, participation of RSS in all other activities, everything is a very open book before the people. And I think that this is the way of working of RSS. RSS says that it is a Hindu view of life, and that Hindu view of life is a Hindu way of life. Even the Supreme Court has given the verdict that Hindutva is a way of life. RSS believes in that philosophy and tries to serve motherland as more as possible with the workforce that RSS has with it. It is expanding every day. To conclude, I would say that the financial institution like Elara Capital has invited us. One question that came to my mind, that why this investors conference want to know about RSS. But maybe that you are interested as a citizen of this country about the organization. Maybe that you may be wanting to know about the economic policies of RSS. Maybe that the Swayamsevaks of RSS are there in the political power in these deaths, right from the Prime Minister, and quite a few names can be taken. But that is, I think, a subordinate thing. It's a great thing for me that I could have some interaction with the people like Lord Meghnad. He is sitting here, and some other dignitaries, they are also here. So I took an opportunity when our Sir Sarkarewa Dattaji told me that you have to go there. And I think I have put some views about RSS before you. RSS never insists on full agreement with RSS philosophy. It's a democratic country. People may like something, people may have something to suggest. RSS is always open to listen to the suggestions and to listen to the comments of people. And because RSS does not say that this is the last and the final. Always there is a scope for improvement. Always there is a scope for taking the recommendations, suggestions of people and implement it in our working and philosophy. So with these words, I would again extend my sincere thanks to all of you for giving a very patient listening to it. And again, I say the Walter Anderson, he is the author of the book, and that is Brotherhood in Saffron. The title of the book is Brotherhood in Saffron. I think it was written somewhere in 34 years back. And this Brotherhood in Saffron is increasing every day. Now we are having more than 50 organizations. They have taken inspiration from RSS, but they are all autonomous. They do not take the everyday consultation from RSS. They are autonomous. Vidyarthi Parishad is the #1 student organization. Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh is the #1 given by the Labor Department, even when the Congress government was there, UPA government was there. It is the biggest #1 organization according to the membership of it. So this is the widespread philosophy of RSS in different walks of life. RSS in Shakhas, we don't find women, because the nature of the working of Shakha. But our Rashtra Sevika Samiti is there. They are working in the field of women welfare. So I am a Swayamsevak, so I may be tempted to speak more and more about RSS, because that may be the thing to close to my heart. But somewhere it has to stop. And therefore I conclude again with the thanks, as it has been chalked out in the program, that there should be some questions and answers. I would welcome your questions, but I am not very sure that I will be able to satisfy you. But you can, not because that I don't believe in my philosophy, I believe 100% in the philosophy, but repeatedly telling so many things, people say that still there is something. Why this curiosity, I don't understand, that who is going to be the next general secretary of RSS. I was there in Nagpur meeting. Some people were saying that Dattatreya Hosbal is going to be the next general secretary. All 100 cameras were focused on Dattatreya only. So media is a very effective tool these days to do and undo a number of things. I respect them. They have a very, very strong role to play in the democratic setup of our country. But sometimes it is necessary to know what are the facts, what is the philosophy, and that this is one of the efforts that we have been making since a work assigned to me is public relations. I am very happy that I could establish some relation, maybe from the stage, but with the learned people like you. With these words, I express my thanks and I conclude here only. Thank you very much.
We have already expanded our time.
Before you open the question answer session, I must congratulate Elara Capital team to have the courage to take a very calculated risk. Because international community wants to know, after all, the people who are ruling this country, who are they, what are their opinions. So all this is fine, but 70, 60 years of misinformation or whatever kind of information or disagreement cannot be wiped away in 1 hour, but maybe something will get to you and you will feel, okay, these are not people who are from another world. These are the people who can also rule and who can also organize very well. So I thank them for taking the risk. I hope this risk is mitigated by this program and I can start with the question answer. Thank you.
Sure, we have a very short span of time actually, so we'll take 2 to 3 questions only. Can we have a mic please then?
By the way, Anirudh ji didn't know there is a very eminent media personality also here, Sanjay ji, so we welcome you.
Thank you for the nice presentation. Yeah. Now, there have been a couple of controversial moves by the RSS, driven primarily by the RSS, the Ghar Wapsi and a few other movements that I've been talking about. I'd love to understand one thing. One, what's the rationale driving that? Is it a retaliation against some moves that have happened earlier, or is it just a primary decision to go in a particular direction? One. Two, how does Modi see this? Is he supportive of it, or is he not supportive of it in your discussions with him? And three, what other such ideas or movements that, or actionable movements that you would see, that we could see from the RSS over the next 6 or 12 months?
First of all, Ghar Wapsi is not something new. It started way back in '64, and so it is only that because of now, because BJP is in power, this is come into focus. It is not retaliation to anybody. If we see that wherever Hindus have become a minority or Hindus have been subjugated, that part of India no more remains with India. It's a very harsh fact. The disturbance you see in Jammu Kashmir, disturbance you see in Northeast, where 90% population has been converted over 100 years, is well known to you. Even that is not the issue. Point is that when a person changes the religion or way of worship, the people who do this also try to, alienate him from his own roots. So a person in North is told that their tribal religion, their pagan religion was something which is to be hated. They ask them to throw away their gods, they ask them to crush it. So when these people get alienated over a period of time, it becomes a problem for that particular society. So you see unrest, you see problems. There is huge drug and, various kind of abuse problems in Northeast today. Same is true of other areas also. So to bring these people who are still unhappy the way they were converted, if they want to come back to this, they are welcome. And this Shuddhi movement has started way back by Swami Dayanand Saraswati, even before that during that of Prithviraj Chauhan. So this is a movement which has been there for a long time. It is only now it has got a very huge publicity. It is neither violent nor is compulsory nor is it forceful. It's a choice given to people. If they feel unhappy, they want to come back to their roots, they are welcome. There is no competition anywhere. That's the basic philosophy. And I don't think there is anything else where RSS has some plans to undo Mr. Modi or, show its power, because there is a TV debate where a person said, okay, your point of view about Mother Teresa being also a missionary, not just being a, volunteer of, social service, fine, it's an intellectual debate. But there is also a point where trying to score points against Modi telling, see, we are there. It's nothing like that. RSS is there for last 90 years. It has got a certain way of working, certain social issues which it addresses. Even for example, a question of casteism or upper lower caste remains whether you become a Christian or a Muslim. It is already very well documented. That's the reason why Christian paders want even Christians and Muslims who went into that religion because they found unacceptability within Hindu religion as per them. But going there, the problems are not solved. So either you give them reservation, give them the same privilege which is for people who are allegedly casteist and who are not given them due. So these are the kind of social issues which come up and which need much more patient hearing, much more patient solution than getting into media arguments. Right now I'll just say this much.
Actually, a linked question. Do you organizationally or individually have disagreements with the economic liberalization or growth agenda that Mr. Modi and his team are putting forward?
Difference of opinion with the government on economic liberalization?
Yeah, there is a possibility that particularly in respect of the economic policies, RSS may have some different view. But RSS is a social organization. RSS is not a political organization. And if any difference of views is there, I think it is up to the political party, that is BJP, to take their decision. RSS never imposes our own views on BJP. Take a simple example of this land acquisition bill. We had a difference of opinion on certain provisions, some amendments. So we discussed it with BJP ministers and BJP party office bearers. Some of them have been accepted, some of them have not been accepted. That is their own view of it. So in some cases, on some occasions, it is just possible that difference of opinion is there. It's not so that RSS says something and it has to be just taken as an order by the BJP. They are autonomous. They have some thinking behind it. RSS people have some thinking behind their stand. So this is just possible, not impossible.
To give another example, this Jammu Kashmir government formation, I find people on the field, RSS people, highly agitated. When I go to a place, they tell me what is the need and what is this people doing, BJP has sold off, what is it, where is Chappan inch ki chhati and all that. But then we have to explain them the rationale behind it. Rationale behind a huge number of people in Jammu and Ladakh who had no say in the power game, who had nothing to do. All the privileges went to small valleys, which is just 16% of the total geography. And what are the issues involved and why these people must come together even at a huge risk. In fact, a TV interview that happened to me also. And I said, why? Unless we are courageous and unless we take a decision which is not typically script written, Hinduvadi or nationalist vis-a-vis, separatists and all that, we have to take this call because ultimately Jammu Kashmir has to be saved. And this issue, I may not agree with BJP totally, but I have to understand the context. So as a social organization, we will have our opinions, but we will not impose it. We will discuss it. If they agree, fine. If not, they have to carry on with the government. There is no issue at all.
Actually, can I ask one more question? I'd really appreciate, I appreciate your answers, but just one more last question from me. So, Mr. Modi comes with RSS roots and he was obviously part of it and now he's risen to Prime Minister of the country. How does the senior RSS team see him? Do they see him as still part of RSS and that he should be very sympathetic to RSS opinions and views? Or do you now say that he's got a national agenda, he's got to balance political agendas, and he's got to take the country forward? So we are sympathetic to his position, and even though he was an old RSS hand to begin with.
He was not RSS Swayamsevak. He is RSS Swayamsevak.
Okay, I stand corrected.
And therefore, and he has also accepted it number of times. But his role is different now. There is a role change. And now, when he is a Prime Minister of our beloved country, he has some other things to do as a Prime Minister, as a politician. So these two roles are different, but they are not contradictory. The sense of patriotism and social responsibility and everything, he will abide by all these things, being a Swayamsevak. But in some political decisions, as I said, that his role may be different. And one has to accept it. RSS accepts it. There is no...
Thank you for the opportunity. There is a rational approach to solving social problems, and there is a extreme ideology approach to solving social problems. I think you've seen the extreme ideology approach to solving what they consider as social problems, and you can see the kind of disruption it leads to. Even if you, let's say your agenda is right, and let's take it for a moment that your agenda is right, have you considered, given the plurality of the Indian society, to have a more rational approach such that it doesn't result in greater social disorder?
I don't know which.
So take everybody along, you know, that.
If anything you have specific in your mind about the.
No, what I mean is take everybody along with your agenda rather than, you know, clearly a lot of discomfort has come in because of some of the, you know, programs and the policies. Ghar Wapsi is, you know, just one of them.
Yeah, about Ghar Wapsi, Ratanji has told you that is the stand of RSS.
Right. You know,
but
there are some attacks on, you know, religious places which have been attributed.
I was coming to that only. Right. These attacks have been condemned by RSS from time to time. And here also, as a spokesperson of RSS, I say that I condemn it. RSS is not at all, not even distantly involved in it. RSS never stands behind them. On the contrary, RSS takes a stand that there must be the strictest punishment and there must be a very quick action by government or by whatever may be the authority. So, see what happens. Anything happens to other than Hindu, which is bad in taste, is shouldered to the RSS. That must be stopped. RSS has a very good program about the social harmony, Samajik Samarasata Mancha. We don't count it by caste, but you will find people from all castes, creeds, sects in RSS. RSS believes in social harmony. So far as the religious things, these attacks and everything, RSS has condemned it from time to time. But there has become a fashion, and many times in media also, by some people, not all, while criticizing. Take a very simple example, that there was a murder of our comrade Govind Pansare in Maharashtra. What were the media next day, not even after 24 hours, just after 2-3 hours, that some Hindu people have done it, those who believe in Hindu or Hindutvanishta. Why so? Why are you coming to conclusion? Are you a court? Why do you take all the rights of the justice in your hands? Let the police and justice and all this, they will decide it. This has become a fashion. And somewhere it has to stop. RSS condemns all these things. And so it is necessary to understand the real philosophy, the real stand of RSS about social problems like injustice to Dalits. RSS have been very careful about this. Going to them, visiting those places, taking care of their family members. In a large number of cases, RSS has done it. So that is a very clear stand of RSS.
Then I would urge that this, you know, this compassionate philosophy that you have, it's probably not being marketed or communicated, you know, more effectively. It's probably something that
I think charge accepted. Charge accepted. That's the reason I wrote the book. Anyway, the point is you also talked about Gharwasi vis-a-vis conversions. We must understand whether it's conversion or whether it's Gharwapsi, it's an individual's choice. If you say that conversion should be allowed but reconversion should not be allowed, it's a fallacious argument. And you talk of extremist steps. If you remember, in last year, if you have read the papers, there were 216 burglaries and robberies in temples, about 13 gurdwaras, about 8 or something in, about 10 or 12 in mosques, and about 4 in church. This year, within 2 months, again, there are 26 or 20 robberies or attacks on temples, and about 7 or 8, something like that. So the figures tell that it's just the question of publicizing or creating a propaganda around something which is a very petty matter of law and order. There was this, rape of an old lady, mother-like lady. Now, why should you attach religion to it? Within 2 days, there was a rape of another elderly lady in the same place, and you keep on saying Hindus did this. Why should Hindu do it? If terror has no religion, why should a rape have a religion? It's an inhuman act. You must punish the person in any way, but to create a hype around it, create a fear psychosis in the community is not right approach. A Vatican person comes here, starts publicizing the whole issue. He doesn't go to UK where 1,400 girls were groomed by Islamists. The person doesn't go to, Pakistan where churches are blown up. So this kind of propaganda machinery of creating fear or psychosis must stop. And how does RSS get into that? Point is that this creation of this hype, because it was predicted, because when Modi comes to power, all these things hell will break loose. Now they have to prove that hell has broken loose. If you look at do I say that a padri was picked up for murdering a student, do I make it a communal issue? I should not make it a communal issue. It was pure crime of passion. So these kind of things must be taken in a very objective way. Otherwise if we also keep on perpetuating the same kind of stereotypes, whether Christians or Hindus, how will we come to terms? This is a multicultural, multiracial society. It's a society which supports pluralism, which has never supported, fascist ideology where only one religion, one God, or one book will stay. So this is something that we have to absorb and understand.
So I have a comment. It's not so much a question as it is perhaps an observation. And I have to say that there's been so much mystery about the philosophy of the RSS in terms of the general impression that goes about in modern India. And in a way, after hearing you two fine gentlemen and the philosophy that you described and seeing that wonderful audiovisual, certainly it was an eye-opener for me as to the good work and the kind of deep tradition that the RSS has. And in a way, I find that perhaps the time has come for the RSS to really review its stand. As much as it's very valuable and extremely important to do work selflessly and not to talk about it, but I think to clarify the traditions and the philosophy of the RSS at a level where perhaps a lot more of Indians in modern India begin to understand and to be able to be aware of what you're talking about. I seriously think that you perhaps need to review the fact of having a consolidated image building, or rather image informing body in terms of like what the gentleman mentioned, so that perhaps, a little more, there'll be a little more clarity and a little more understanding about what the RSS is really about, because there's a big cloud in modern India as to exactly what you said, the perceptions of what the RSS is. So, I mean, I just feel that perhaps now with the RSS coming to the forefront in so many avenues and platforms in India, perhaps you all should look at the prospect of consolidating an image building or an image informing system, or well, to cut to the point. I mean, I think that you need to perhaps look at that in terms of re-informing, if you like, the Indians, the Indian public about what you really stand for.
It's well taken. I accept it. Some efforts are being done. We have a separate section as public relations is there. There is one publicity, Prachar Vibhag also. And we have been doing something, but as you expressed it, I think we have to take some more steps in this direction. It is accepted.
Thank you.
There's a space for one more question, the last question.
I just want to make an observation. There are two things. On one hand, you quite clearly explain that for you, Hindu does not mean religion. It means somebody who belongs to this country. At the same time, there is an asymmetry. in a notion like Ghar Wapsi, which you must face. There is an asymmetry that you believe that one of the primary tasks is to bring people back to Hinduism. That's your choice. I'm not criticizing it, but there is a contradiction there. Okay, that's one thing. And secondly, I think in order to improve the image, you must do more about women. You have a completely masculine image. You may have a Mahila thing, but in this day and age, RSS is an all-male organization. I would not be willing to bet when will there be a woman Sarsanga Sanchalak in RSS, or even in the top 25 office holders of RSS. Now, you know, if you want to get on in winning the hearts and minds of people, you got to change. I say that, you know, as a man who is not a member and never likely to be a member, but I'm saying that these two things are a problem, and you have to face them.
Actually, I thought it should be an official line. I am not an official spokesperson, so I should not say about anything about it. Your point is taken, but see, as he explained, shakhas basically are physical activities, high proximity, high body contact kind of program. So in Shakha we are not accepting women. But as a RSS functionary said, Shakha does not have women, but Sangha has women. All other organizations which are part of RSS so-called family have got large number of women. In fact, number of women have risen in RSS ranks or Sangha ranks are much higher than so-called progressive women's organizations. The first woman who walked into Politburo was the wife of the secretary of the Communist Party. And we have women in all the organizations heading various cells in all other, in fact, in social service organizations, women take the cake. They are much bigger part of it. So it is just practicality. For example, Rashtra Seva Dal, as a reaction to RSS, had all the women and men together. It became a marriage party. After everybody married each other, the organization disappeared. I mean, it's a cryptic remark which he will not make, but let me be honest. So this is a practical issue, but all other places, women have huge role in RSS. And yes, women will not become Sarsanghchalak of RSS, but there is Rashtriya Sevika Samiti, which is totally women. And there Sarsanghchalaka is a woman. No RSS man sits there. So there are role defined, there are organizations defined, and let them work in their own way, and they are in complete harmony. There is no dissonance in RSS or various organizations of RSS. That is point one. You gave another point which I just...
and others,
yeah.
When you ask about Ghar Wapsi,
yeah, see, definitely there is a philosophical issue.
You're not worried about somebody going back to Christianity.
There is a philosophical issue between calling Hindu Dharma and also Hindu as a way of worship. Yeah. There is a philosophical and, conceptual issue where at one time we said Hindu is a cultural word because that was the word which was popular at that time, and people said Hindu being Hindu is very, I feel ashamed to be a Hindu and all those things. Then Dr. Edgar said, okay, I'm proud to be a Hindu. So that's how this Hindu is a terminology which could be replaced with Bharatiyata, which could be replaced by any other word, doesn't matter. You could call not Hindu religion but Sanatan Dharma. Yeah. Or Hindu way of, Hindu have so many, so many sects. What do? You got Sanatanis, you got Arya Samajis, you got Brahmo Samaj.
You misunderstand me. You misunderstand me. What I'm saying that you ought to be clear that although you think all religions belong to India, you are a Hindu organization because you prefer people going back to Hinduism than to any other religion.
Yes, but I explain.
That is your preference. If that's your preference, come clean. Say it.
We are saying it.
Okay, so then you do not regard everybody, you do not regard every religion as belonging to India.
See, I know
that
from the beginning there are large number of Hindus and Christians who feel very identified with the Hindu philosophy or Hindu culture. They may be worshipping somebody as they're part of Hindu ethos. We have no problem. It is the missionary way of conversion which results into a separation, alienation of the, a person from the society where the problem comes. So there are a lot of complex issues within it.
I'm very surprised that you feel that when somebody converts somebody to Christianity, they get alienated from India. Do you think Christians don't belong to India?
You have to visit.
You don't think Christians belong to India?
I'm not talking all Christians. Within Kerala, there are 13 churches. Sir, within Kerala, there are 13 churches. You are aware of that. In which low caste churches, high caste don't go. It's a harsh reality. So, I mean, I know this from a Christian friend of mine. So let us be honest. These issues are complex issues. I don't know whether you have visited Northeast and seen the alienation of youth there. So what we say are from experience, what you say is from what you read in the probably your own study, but there is a gap and there is more need to be done. And yes, debate will go on, and we agree with your difference of opinion, but let us see what is happening on the ground, which may not be really to the liking of what we talk in typical intellectual environment, but when you go, things are different from what we believe they are.
About women, I would like to add that in all other organizations, right from their inception, women are working. They have some offices with them also. Because of this Shakha system, but in our all meetings, now the women representatives are also attending it. You can see our last week's Nagpur meeting. There are women representatives, and they are naturally working in different organizations, and their role is also very important. We have a coordination body of all these organizations so far as the women are concerned. So we are, philosophically also we accept it, and in practice also we are doing it. Barring the differences created by nature, we don't find any difference between woman and a man. That is the philosophy. And so in economic sector, in education, in social, in every walk of life, women must come ahead. That encouragement must be given by the organization and by the families. And we have some other publications on what RSS says about women. I think the policy, and during emergency when our Swayamsevaks were in jail, I tell you, the Sangha was run by women only. It was banned, and all male workers were in jails. So various activities of Sangha were conducted by women. So philosophically there is no hitch. Practically this difference should be taken into account.
Hello. One question on RSS influence on the government. When you say that you will express your opinion and then leave it there, is there anything that RSS will agitate with the government, whether it's on economic policy or any other policy? At what stage would you say that, look, this is something that we will actually agitate against and not just express opinion?
It's too early to anticipate that some agitation will take place. Let the government settle and do the things. And if I've already given it as a policy matter, that there may be some difference between what RSS says about some economic policies and what the government wants to do. There, it will be brought to their notice with a democratic way, as other organizations have.
But does it stop there? Because you could have had difference of opinion even with the Congress government, but you couldn't have done anything about it.
Let's see it in future. How can we see it right now? Yeah.
We will not wreck the government.
Yeah, that is certain. That we will not see that the government is let down, and no, we won't do that thing. But I can't assure you that on every policy there will be the full agreement between RSS and BJP.
Thank you.